Hi everybody! So today I wanted to make a video showing you my other bookshelf that is not necessarily my primary bookshelf. This contains more sort of general literature, a few reference books and some sort of art books as well. So I'm just going to go straight in and I will show you it shelf by shelf. I won't go into great detail because you can actually see. So here we have some of the very short introductions by Oxford University Press. I think, what do I have? I have the ethics one, literary theory, logic, free speech, and the philosophy one. I can really recommend those. They're very accessible and very informative and obviously very short, so you don't have to waste a lot of time if you decide that something doesn't really interest you. And then we move on to my art books. As you may know, if you know me in the least bit, I'm a huge fan of art, massive fan of drawing and draftsmanship, and also the history of art. I studied it at A-level actually before I did the IB, and I must say it was very much enjoyable. These are just some sort of random books which I didn't really know where to put, so we just have a kind of assortment, a bit of science to the left, and then the Norton Anthology of Theory and Criticism, which was necessary for when I was studying English at degree level. And then we just have some other books, and there's the Critique of Pure Reason, which is highly misplaced on the top shelf. I really need to rehouse that on my more important philosophy bookshelf. So the next shelf we have what I would consider to be my sort of prize collection of Penguin classics. So these are not all of them actually. I do have a whole lot more back at my parents' house. But I must say that I'm a huge fan of the classics. I've read a whole bunch of them and I cannot sing their praises highly enough, to be honest. So we've got everything from James Joyce through Bronte, Emily, Anne and Charlotte. Absolutely love Charlotte, she's my favourite. Dickens, Homer, John Milton, of course, what a classic. Forster, I actually really quite like Forster. I mean, I don't think he's widely read enough, to be honest. People read kind of the main one, what's it called, Room with a View, and they overlook things like Morris, which I thought was an absolute classic. It's about homosexuality, basically, and not that I found that to be particularly relevant to me, but I just really enjoyed it. Flaubert, this is one of my favourite writers of all time. He wrote Madame Bovary, which I currently can't see on this shelf. Oh, there it is. So we have Flaubert's Madame Bovary and Flaubert's A Sentimental Education, which I just love his writing so much. He puts so much time and effort into his writing. He's the writer I was talking about in my last video who would write and rewrite maybe 100 times every sentence of his novels. So his work is highly interesting, and obviously this is in translation because he is a French writer, and I studied him on the International Baccalaureate in my World Literature module. And the rest of these are just, you know, kind of other ones I've read. Metaphysical poetry, I was a huge fan of that at school actually, and on the International Baccalaureate. Bit more Forster, some Homer, Gaskell, Virgil, Austen. I'm really not a fan of Austen actually. I don't even know why I give this the time of day on this shelf, because I just don't really like it. And then we have my other favourite authors of all time. So we have Virginia Woolf, who I absolutely adore. She is probably my top favourite writer with Charlotte Bronte. And then we have Evelyn Waugh, who I also adore. I don't know where my Brideshead Revisited has gone. I think somebody must have borrowed that from me. But absolutely adore Evelyn Waugh. I would say that I'm a massive fan of Victorian literature and modernism. So, you know, if you wanted to know a bit more about me, there you go. And then we have my next shelf, which contains some kind of random books here. These are the, what do you call them, new case books, and they are highly important if you are studying literature at degree level because they contains some absolutely astounding critical essays, which will help you enormously in your study of any of these texts. I have been meaning to sell some of these because obviously I don't study literature anymore, and yeah, I mean, I will probably go back and read them at some point, but for the meantime they're just totally unnecessary for me because I'm a philosophy student and not a literature student. James Joyce, another of my absolute favourite authors. This is one of my favourite books of all time, actually. Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And then we move on through some George Orwell, and then we have some Oxford World Classics of some philosophy texts that are on my reading list. Bronte's Shirley, which is the only Charlotte Bronte novel I haven't actually read, so I have been meaning to do this, but as you can see, it's not small, so I don't know when I'm going to actually fit this into my life. Hopefully sometime in not too distant years. Then we have some Ovid. I do actually quite like sort of Roman poetry. Massive poetry fan. As you know, I do write poetry. If you've ever been on my blog, it bears witness to a massive fan for art and also poetry writing. And then we have Simone de Beauvoir, and don't ask me why, but I have multiple copies of William Golding's Lord of the Flies. I did study it at GCSE actually, and I do believe this is my original GCSE copy, which is absolutely endearing. I think these are the ones that my teacher must have given me that I never ever returned. So, yeah. Some Albert Camus. Absolutely love Albert Camus. Brilliant existentialist philosopher and novelist. Some more of these Oxford concise companions. This one, To Literary Terms, was absolutely invaluable to me whilst I was studying literature. It's probably the guide to literary terms that I would recommend above and beyond all others. This book here, A Dictionary of Difficult Words, I was actually told off once when I was 14 in my geography class. I was reading this book and my teacher said to me something like, "Although you're improving yourself, Louise, I don't feel that's the most appropriate thing to be reading at this time." And I think I retorted with some witticism, I don't know. Then we have Seamus Heaney's Beowulf, which I absolutely adore, actually. Really good. I never expected to like that. Highly revealing. Philip Larkin, one of my favourite, well, actually my favourite poet of all time. I wrote my IB dissertation on his Whitsun Weddings, which is my favourite collection of poetry of all time. Carol Ann Duffy, a few more poetry books, the Norton Anthology of Poetry. What's this? Poetry from 1900 to 1975. This is a copy that my mother gave me, actually, from when she did A-level English. And I must say, I really treasure this book. It's awesome. It really helped me throughout my studies because my mother, being a very clever woman, had also annotated it, and so that came in rather handy. So that's that shelf. And then we move on to my other shelves, which are becoming a little more dubious as we go now. So we have a bit of drama here, a bit of Othello, Hamlet. I think The History Boys by Alan Bennett is hidden behind here. And then we move on to some sort of reference books. I am a massive fan of the reference book, dictionaries and, oh, I don't know, as you can see, all of these kind of things. Grammar and Latin dictionaries, thesauruses, a book of facts, punctuation, idioms, plain English, you know what I mean. It's all good. Samuel Beckett, absolutely love Samuel Beckett. I must say that his Waiting for Godot and his Endgame, absolutely astonishing. I really want to see them in real life, actually, because I can't imagine what they're like performed. Yeah, I love that. If you like sort of theatre of the absurd, then you will absolutely adore Samuel Beckett. Here we have a few more philosophy books, so, you know, just some kind of generalish guides to philosophy that I read when I was first exploring the subject. Logic here, which my friend Casey bought for me, and I do believe, did he buy me Aristotle? I don't remember. My Descartes book, a bit of Peter Singer, Nigel Warburton, a bit of epistemology, a bit of A.J. Ayer, a bit of Simon Blackburn, and then we move on to this section here, which is a bit of a homage to Ian McEwan. I do remember several years ago asking my mother to buy me the complete works of Ian McEwan. I think this goes to an extent to fulfilling that. I must say I'm quite a big fan of Ian McEwan, although I haven't read too much of his work. I do believe there's a duplicate there. I might get rid of one of those. Didn't realise that. So yeah, and on my bottom shelf we have some right duds. I can't say I've even read some of this stuff. I don't even know how it got here, but it's here. Actually, this is a very good book, although a little bit pathetic. The Anti-Aging Beauty Bible for all your anti-aging tips. Theory of Knowledge. A very good book, actually. Very invaluable for me when I was on the International Baccalaureate, because that was one of our essential extra modules. And that is where I shall finish. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I do hope that you enjoyed my classic shelf. I may show you my other shelf in due course, which contains a whole lot more philosophy. In fact, it's almost exclusively philosophy. Obviously that's what I study, and that's why it's right next to my desk. So that's all for now, peeps. I hope that this has helped in some way. So bye.